Hi, ocean lovers! Welcome to Season 2, Episode number 9 of Dive Stories, brought to you by PADI, helping millions around the world to seek adventure and save the ocean. I'm your host, Ocean Allison, and on today's episode, I'm chatting with PADI ambassador and professional mermaid, Brandee Anthony. During this episode, Brandee shares all about her personal mermaid journey, her epic diving adventures around Florida, and her fundamental passion for teaching others to become PADI mermaids. All that and more coming right up. Thanks for being here. Ready to jumpstart your next underwater adventure? Good news! We're offering Dive Stories podcast listeners an exclusive 20% off all PADI recreational e-learning courses. With PADI e-learning, you can start your next dive adventure right now from the comfort of your own home before connecting at any time with a PADI dive center or resort to complete your in-water training. Head to padi.com/courses to select which dive course is right for you and use code PODCAST, that's PODCAST, to take advantage of this exclusive 20% off discount. You're listening to Dive Stories. We bring the underwater world to you through in-depth conversations with inspiring divers from around the globe. Thanks for diving in with us as we seek adventure and save the ocean. Happy listening and happy diving. Today's Dive Stories guest is PADI ambassador and professional mermaid, Brandee Anthony. Brandee, welcome to Dive Stories, and thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're really excited. You're one of our brand new 2022 PADI ambassadors, and we're so excited to highlight you and all your mermaiding adventures. But we're actually going to start out by diving right into what we call the Dive 5. And how the Dive 5 works is at the start of each episode, I ask our guests 5 rapid fire questions about their experiences as a diver and an ocean lover. So what do you think, Brandee? Are you ready to answer the Dive 5?
I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. Okay, number 1, where is the first place you ever wore a mermaid tail underwater?
It was here in Vero Beach, Florida, in a pool.
Nice. Okay, number 2, in one word, how does mermaiding make you feel?
Free.
Nice. Okay, number 3, what is your favorite ocean animal?
A dolphin.
Okay, and then number 4, where is one dive destination that you absolutely want to mermaid at one day?
Tahiti, which is hopefully where we're going to get married soon.
That's amazing. Okay, and then last one, number 5, in just one word, what does the underwater world mean to you?
Everything.
I love it. Okay. Well, thank you so much for answering the Dive 5, Brandee. We're going to get a little more in depth now by jumping into the core of the interview. And I want to start out at really the beginning of your mermaid journey. You know, how and when did this mermaid journey initially start for you? Like, what was the initial catalyst?
Yeah, so kind of an unconventional way, in my opinion, but I just celebrated 6 years as the Vero Beach Mermaid, and I was kind of a well-known person on an app called Periscope, which is now owned by Twitter. But it was a standalone app, and I was one of the known broadcasters. I went live every day, and I got to go live in 360. I was the first person to launch that alongside a colleague of mine. Then I started going live from drones as soon as that was available. And I thought, how else can I take this to the next level? Because I love being live. I love giving people these unique immersive experiences. And virtually no one goes live underwater because there's a lot of logistics behind it, especially 7 years ago. So I decided I wanted to go live underwater. And me and a friend of mine figured everything out, how to wire it, and so it would actually be live while it was underwater. But I figured, how can I make this interesting? And I honestly don't remember what gave me the idea, if it was just an honest idea out of my head of like, oh, well, I'll be a mermaid, because I've always loved mermaids. I love the ocean, but I decided to look up mermaid tails, and I bought a mermaid tail and I bought a GoPro, and I successfully went live underwater to many thousands of people. And I was just swimming and it was so natural. I had never practiced. The first time I swam was the first time I was live. And you could just see it on the broadcast. It was like instant love, instant connection to this way of swimming and connecting with the water. And I think within 5 days, I had the name Vero Beach Mermaid. I had an Instagram, I had a Facebook page. I was growing at a really rapid rate. I was going viral. I was getting booked left and right. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is a new part of my life. Like, this is a thing. And then I learned that there was a whole community of professional mermaids, some who had been doing it 15 years. And next thing I knew, I was in the big boom of the mermaid industry and got to be kind of on the front end of it as it's unfolded to what it is now. And and here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, wow, that's really amazing that it was somewhat random and it has really just blossomed for you because, obviously since then your major focus over the years has really become mermaiding, like you said. And I do want to point out that in addition to being a PADI mermaid, you're also a certified PADI scuba diver and freediver, which is really amazing. I kind of like to think of it like a triple threat in the world of diving, right? So I'd love if you could share some unique aspects of each of those three types of diving that, you're really drawn to and that you really love.
Yeah, so first I got to give a huge shout out to Live Free Diving. They are good friends of mine and they are partners with the retreats we do now. And it was actually Kiki who certified me in free diving. And then she certified me in scuba. And I was like, I got addicted quickly, wanted all the certs, just like I'm sure most people experience when they get into this world. And then the PADI Mermaid was born, and I was already in this PADI family, so it was perfect timing. So I find that they're all so unique and so important in their own ways. Where scuba diving, you get to spend a lot more time down on the bottom. You get to get more intimate with the scene that you're in and the creatures that are there and the coral reefs and the ships and whatever it is you're venturing in. You really get to spend that time. So I love scuba diving for that reason. Then you have free diving where you don't have to have all the gear and you really get to feel like you're a superhuman. When I unlocked that ability to equalize and to go past 30 feet and to hold my breath longer, I really felt like a superhuman. And it just made you feel like, what can you actually do? Like, I never thought I'd be able to do these things. So with free diving, it's beautiful because you don't have to have all the equipment and you get to be on your own breath and you get to learn so much about your body and mind while connecting with the water. And then you add in mermaiding which is essentially free diving with a monofin. It becomes a little harder when you do it as a mermaid because normally we actually don't wear masks as mermaids. So we then, have to sort out our own vision without a mask, and it's a little more challenging to equalize without a mask at first. And it is a little bit harder to swim with a full tail on. But then you get to feel so fluid and you almost just feel like you're part of this world. And I wouldn't be as good of a mermaid as I am without those foundations of scuba and freediving. So it's just something that I wouldn't take any away. I couldn't say any are a favorite. I love all aspects of diving.
Yeah, I love that. So amazing and such a unique perspective, really. Now, as a PADI Mermaid instructor, I'm curious for you personally, what does it mean to get to connect other human beings with mermaiding, this ability to uniquely explore the underwater world?
I tell you, I have to pinch myself on a daily basis. I can't believe that what I get to do as a passion, as an income, as a career is teach people to become mermaids. And it started a little before the PADI program. And then the program launched and it had the most beautiful tools to be able to give people something to go home with, this certification that they've gained this skill set. So it's an artful and whimsical way to connect to yourself, to connect to that child inside of you that I think we kind of bury over time in society. And you get to just live out these amazing, for some it's a lifetime fantasy to come be a mermaid and get in a tail and actually leave with a skill set that's going to benefit you, whether it's for a career or just for your own mind and body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and kind of on that same note, I do want to highlight that you also teach mermaiding to kids, since actually kids as young as 6 years old can take the PADI Mermaid course. So what's it like getting to connect with young children in this way? You know, you said it's like a childhood dream for many adults. You know, what is it like when you're teaching children to mermaid?
Children really bring the joy out of what I do the most. They are so honest and real, and they're so willing to try new things. So all of them will, mostly tell me they're already a mermaid. And so we're just here, to get the qualifications in sort. So it's just it's so much fun. There's so much joy. And it's also a great feeling to know that I'm giving kids a tool for safety, because being in a mermaid tail, it can cause, some parents to worry. But with the right procedures and being certified as a PADI mermaid, you get to know that you're teaching them how to safely do something that they love, that brings them happiness and also brings parents a peace of mind.
Yeah. And, kind of on the same thread of, you're talking about mermaiding being in the same family as freediving. And, and many experience, like if they start out in the world of freediving, then they can more easily transition into scuba diving as well. Kind of all the skills translate. Teaching young kids to mermaid, they can continue on their mermaiding journey, and they can also start on a freediving journey or a scuba diving journey, as they grow up. So that's really amazing to hear. And I imagine just a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
Now, one really amazing aspect of your work in teaching other people to become PADI mermaids is hosting group mermaid retreats in Florida through your business, Mermaid Freedive. So can you give us a rundown of what these mermaid retreats are all about? Because all of the photos and videos that I've ever seen of them just look absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so Mermaid Freedive is my absolute love. As a person who has a few different businesses, I have to say this is by far my favorite. It is just such an amazing dive. It's basically a dive company, but what makes us unique is that we offer these 4-day all-inclusive retreats to earn your PADI certifications in both mermaiding and freediving. And you don't have to worry about anything when you sign up for these retreats. Once you get your gear and you get your travel sorted, you come to this beautiful Airbnb in the middle of nowhere in Florida, and we dive in these crystal clear springs. If you've never seen a picture of a Florida spring, they are crystal clear, 72 degrees year round. So they are just this most fantastical place. It seems like something out of a storybook. And it's funny because a lot of people visit Florida and never even know the springs exist. So they are fresh water, and they are alive with tons of fish and turtles and plant life. And they are deep, they're shallow, they're everything you could imagine when you think of some clear water mermaid grotto. And we take you for 3 days to multiple different springs as a group to go do your PADI course. So not only do you get to learn all these amazing skills, but you're doing it in such a scenic place that you just can't help but have a good time and feel inspired. And you get to walk away with these certifications, these new friendships, this newfound sense of self. And they're just incredibly transformative experiences that I have to pinch myself that this is what I get to do for a job, and that I'm gearing up for the first one of the season right now. And we are so lucky to have just the most amazing groups of students. We have people fly in from all over the world to do this. And it is just so cool to see all of the connections, all of the sharing, all of the different vocations that people have and come from, and how we get to see them all marinate together. And then everyone gets to go conquer all of these things like depth diving and breath holding and mermaid swimming techniques. And we've got people who are celebrating their 18th birthday, their 60th birthday. We celebrate a lot of birthdays and a lot of anniversaries and a lot of graduations and career moves and just what it is, a retreat back to your inner self to feel joy, to feel free, and to unlock new skills.
Okay, ocean lovers, it's time for the dive log, the part of the show where we feature an epic dive story from one of our amazing listeners. This episode's listener dive story comes from Diego Soto about an unforgettable dive he had off the Pacific coast of Colombia. Let's dive in.
Well, it's hard to choose, but I guess my most memorable dive was on an island called Gorgona. It's in Pacific coast of Colombia, and this island is pretty close from another island called Malpelo. And this is part of a triangle of islands that is basically a shark highway, and the triangle is formed by Malpelo from Colombia, Cocos in Costa Rica, and Galapagos. And diving here is amazing. I mean, it's different because you're diving among thousands of hammerhead sharks, whale sharks, and any other kind of sharks. So I guess this is my most memorable dive ever. It was freaking amazing.
Thank you so much, Diego, for sharing that incredible underwater experience with us. I would say that being surrounded by thousands of hammerhead sharks in a shark highway definitely makes for an unforgettable dive. Listeners, if you have an epic dive story to share too, head to PADI.com/podcast to record and submit one of your most memorable dive stories for a chance to be featured in an upcoming episode. We love hearing from our global community of PADI divers, so head to PADI.com/podcast today. And now, back to this episode. Now, shifting gears here a bit, Brandee, I want to talk about the role that social media plays in your work as a professional mermaid. I know that you do social media kind of in tandem with your work, and I believe you have around 2 million followers across all your social platforms currently, which is super impressive. So I'd love if you could share a bit about why utilizing social media is important in the mermaid work that you do.
Yeah, so social media is an ever changing entity that I know a lot of people can feel a lot of things about. But the one thing that it really does do is it connects people. And truly, my ability to teach, to connect, to inspire through the mermaid wouldn't even exist without social media. So I've been in social media for going on 8 years now, and it is such a fun way to share this very unique world with people. It's also a great way to get certain messages out there to help raise money for awareness or to bring awareness to things that people don't know are going on, and to do it through the eyes of a mermaid. Because when you're signing up to be a mermaid, truly you should be signing up to be a steward of the water. And there's so many beautiful ways you can do that online. So between all the different platforms and following, I've been able to create this community that is unlike anything else out there. And it's you have to make social fun, because I know it can get a little strenuous for people or feel a little scary. But if you're just honest, authentic, and you're just sharing in a powerful and fun way, people are going to connect to that. And so it's been a really powerful tool for me as I've moved through this journey.
Yeah, definitely. And you kind of go by the name of Vero Beach Mermaid, and obviously, many of your social accounts are at Vero Beach Mermaid, which, of course, references Vero Beach, Florida, which is where you live. So, I want to talk a little bit about like the diversity of diving in Florida. Whether you're doing a photo shoot or you're teaching a mermaid course or even, hosting a full-on retreat like you were just talking about. Can you share a bit about the variety of dive sites that you visit in Florida through all your mermaid work?
Yeah, so Florida's amazing for diving. It truly is. And a lot of that is because of the diversity, because we can dive in these glorious crystal clear freshwater springs. We can dive in different various lakes, and then we can dive in the ocean. And throughout Florida, the ocean varies a lot with the different structures and depths and colors and scenes and animals that you can experience. We even dive in the intercoastal. So having this ability to have so many different types of dive sites, it's so alive with an amazing dive community and so many different types depending on, do you like ocean? Do you like saltwater? Do you prefer stillness? And do you prefer freshwater? You kind of have a little bit of everything here.
Now, with the name of this podcast being Dive Stories, I ask this to all of our guests. What is one of your most memorable underwater stories that you'd like to share with myself and listeners?
One of my most memorable, well, it's hard not to remember them all when you get to do such cool stuff, but there's definitely been just a few dives with a few special types of sea creatures that definitely warm my heart and make it an ultimate experience. And diving with manatees and dolphins, I definitely top my list of times that I can most remember is definitely when I get to encounter a glorious thing like diving with dolphins and manatees, which are the manatees actually frequent the springs a lot. And there was a time that a manatee took interest to my mermaid tail. And I was just in there doing my thing, shooting some photos, and this manatee came up, and my tail is shiny. It's silicone, so I can see where it could be interesting. And he started trying to bite it. And next thing I know, we're just swimming together, and you can just see that he's having so much fun with this mermaid, and he doesn't know what it is, but it is something that I will just never forget, watching this beautiful creature just come over and want to interact and play and connect. And by far, probably my favorite to date for dives I've done.
Yeah, wow. And I mean, ironic at the same time, right? Since, the myth is that potentially the idea of mermaids came about from manatees, right? So interesting that the manatee was drawn to the mermaid. Now, to wrap up, Brandee, I'd love if you could share some advice or words of encouragement for anyone in the world that's interested in becoming a PADI certified mermaid. Whether they're 6 years old or they're 60 years old, like you mentioned, what advice do you have for someone that wants to be a mermaid?
Yeah, my advice is that whoever you are listening out there, if you're thinking in your head, wow, that all sounds amazing, but I don't know if that's for me, or I could never do that. You absolutely can. There's no place in the world you can't. There's no type of person that can't. There's no body type that can't. I get a lot of questions about, what fitness level do you have to be? Do you have to be a certain type of diver first? You don't have to be anything other than yourself right now to learn how to be a mermaid and learn how to take this beautiful dive experience and unlock something inside of you that's in there that maybe is just dying to come out. So it is a very all welcoming community. And the beautiful thing about the PADI program is that they're global. They're literally all over the place, and you can connect with a center that's local to you. So you don't have to travel so far to become a mermaid tomorrow if you felt like it. We're always stoked to see a new mermaid out in the pond. And I just want to say that you're welcome with open arms, and I hope that you get out there and do it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Brandee, on behalf of our global community of PADI divers for, your passion for mermaiding, for teaching and inspiring so many others to explore the underwater world as mermaids. And thank you for joining us on Dive Stories. It's really been so wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for having this beautiful podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to Dive Stories. You've just heard Brandee Anthony, PADI ambassador and professional mermaid. To learn more about Brandee and her mermaid adventures, you can follow her on social media at Vero Beach Mermaid. Inspired to connect with the ocean further? Good news! We're offering Dive Stories podcast listeners an exclusive 20% off all PADI recreational e-learning courses. With PADI e-learning, you can start your next dive adventure right now from the comfort of your own home. E-learning allows you to complete the online portion first and then connect at any time with a PADI dive center or resort to complete your in-water training. Whether you're just starting or continuing your diving journey, PADI e-learning is an ideal way to jumpstart your next underwater adventure. So head to PADI.com/courses to select which course is right for you and use code PODCAST, that's PODCAST, to take advantage of this exclusive 20% off discount. This has been Dive Stories, brought to you by PADI. Seek adventure, save the ocean. If you love the ocean and enjoyed this podcast episode, please subscribe to Dive Stories in your podcast app and feel free to leave a review. Follow PADI on social media and head to PADI.com to join our community of torchbearers working together to seek adventure and save the ocean. I'm your host, Ocean Allison. Happy diving!